The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dumbing It Down with Dave, episode 100. Whoop-de-doo. Are you ready? All right, that was fantastic. I would expect no less from a digitally edited special effects response provided to me by Spreaker, Spreaker.com. That's the host of my show, Dumbing It Down with Dave. This is episode 100. So I want to quickly at the top of the show, I want to thank Spreaker for a very aggressive marketing campaign several years ago when I was driving a truck up in the Albany area, in the Northeast for that matter. And constantly, as I was listening to Coast to Coast with George Norrie on WGY out of Albany and other AM stations, but mostly WGY, I would hear this constant barrage of advertising, Spreaker, all over again, every hour, not all over again, but every hour, every half hour. Hey, your radio, your cell phone's blowing up. Hey, you want to do a podcast? It was, hey. I didn't record those commercials. I wish I had. Maybe if I send an email to Spreaker or whatever, they'll have it somewhere in their advertising campaign archives. But it really got to me because I was curious, and I had no avenue for creativity. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I wasn't doing stand-up comedy, so I wasn't performing anywhere. I don't know when was the last time I was called to do a commercial or a public service announcement or anything like that, but it just wasn't enough. I was just being funny to my friends, very private moments of performing face-to-face with a friend or an acquaintance, and maybe on the phone with somebody, I would give some entertainment. I give good phone. I give very good phone if you ever wanted to talk to me on the phone, much better than I do podcasting and YouTubing. I give great phone. So I called up Spreaker or I emailed them, whatever it is I was supposed to do. Very trepidatious about the whole thing. Thought it was a scam. Was really concerned about how much money it was going to cost me. And to this very day, up to episode 100, it's cost me very little. It's cost me, I think, about $6 a month. Something like that. That's like I have the most basic plan. And I've done a weekly show, but of course, for those of you who have been listening know I've taken a lot of time off. I've done podcations. I think my last podcast, episode 99, was somewhere in October. Mid to late October. So yeah, I think so. So it's taken I've taken 30, 40 some odd, maybe 60 days off. Whatever. It is what it is. But I got to do what I got to do, and I feel very good about the times that I'm on the air and I do a show. And as disappointing as it is for me, I don't know about for you, but when I take time off, I feel good about the time I take off. This is one of those organic shows. I know that there's a big podcast rule. You have to be consistent. Every Tuesday, 11 o'clock, you have to drop. Every Monday, 11:30, you have to drop. Listen, I don't do that type of show. It's unfortunate. If I did that type of show, then yeah, that would be great, but I don't do that type of show, and I don't have that type of life. Sometimes I think it's best for me not to do a podcast. I think it's best for you too. If it's best for me, I think it's best for you too. But then again, I could be totally wrong. If I had a producer, somebody might say to me, hey Dave, no matter how you're feeling, you got to get on that mic and you got to share that. People do want to hear that side of you, that depressing, dark, dismal side of you, that sad, sad sack, sorrowful, shameful, shameless side of you. Yeah, maybe. But, I don't feel like sharing that a lot. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just wonder what you guys want to hear, and I just can't imagine anybody wants to, go out of their way. Because when you hear my podcast, you're not just hitting a button on your phone For those of you who are old enough to have been hitting buttons, maybe a selector. Back in the day, in my day, it was a selector. Now, I guess it's still a selector, but it's a digital button. So I guess it is still a button. But, when you come to listen to Dumbing It Down with Dave, you gotta sign up for this. There's a whole rigmarole. And I don't even know what rigmarole really means, and I should probably stop using that word until I figure it out. But whatever the hassle is, I appreciate it, but I just can't imagine you want to hear that all that crap. So, that's okay. Anyway, so here it is, December 31st. But thank you for trying. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking through. I have a couple of faithful listeners. Of course, Linda Irwin out there, the producer, creator, and writer, and all that and more for Awesome Insanity Surfers. If you are in the need of comedy, if you're in the need of writing, sketch writing above and beyond what you've probably have tasted, have listened to, have experienced, whether on the internet or probably not since Monty Python. She does a show called Awesome Insanity Surfers, and she's got a huge selection of podcasts you can listen to. They're all about, somewhere between 15 minutes to a half an hour long, and she has all these little bits that she does, all these characters and all that other stuff. So I want to thank her for her constant devotion to me and to the show. And she comments every show. A lot of you don't comment. She listens to every show. A lot of you don't listen to every show, which, by the way, is fine. It's all fine. I can't be begrudging people for not engaging me. I do, but I guess I can't be. I don't know what the rules are. I'm a very beaten man at this point. You want to get into sad? You want to get into shameful and shameless and sorrowful and confused and all that other stuff? By the way, this is episode 100. Did I mention that? It's New Year's Eve. It's 4:23 in the morning now. I started this podcast apparently 7 minutes ago. So about a quarter after 4 in the morning, I'm on the New York State Thruway. I'm on my way down to Brooklyn, to the Menorah Nursing Home and Rehab Center that my mother is in rehab, subacute rehab, recovering from a stroke that she had back in October. She's been at this rehab center since November 20th, and I've been on leave from work, I think, all that time. I went on leave because of her and the stroke and my ability to help her recover and all that. So it's been a very long road. In fact, I think I'm going to title the show Alone, Arduous, and Anxious. Maybe I should do it in alphabetical order. I don't know. Anxious, Arduous, and Alone. Yeah, there you go. How about that? AAA. AAA rated. This show is AAA rated. If you are... anxious is not the first one. So it would be arduous. But who wants to start off a show with the word arduous? Nobody even knows what that means. Arduous. All right, so whatever. Alone, anxious, arduous. AAA rated. It's been a very long and lonely road for me the last couple of months, commuting back and forth. Not commuting, but spending time. I actually slept on a cot when I was down at the rehab center, on a cot by the window, probably no more than 5 feet from my mother. And not fun at all, very difficult, very anxious, arduous, and alone, because my mother is deaf. She is 81. She's recovering from a stroke. She had a right side stroke, so she has left side damage. The medical profession likes to use the word neglect. She has a lot of left side neglect, and every nurse, every doctor, every staff person, every person who has come in contact with my mother, for the most part, 99.9%. I know that's a number I use all the time. You're going to have to take my word for it. You're going to have to trust me. In this particular case, it's probably the most accurate time I might have ever used, 99.9%. But 99.9% of the people who have been in contact with my mother since the restaurant where she had the stroke, the ambulance, the ER, they don't come in contact with deaf people. It is such a small population that they don't know what to do. They don't know how to treat a deaf person. And my job in the last couple of months has been to be an advocate. Advocacy. Oh, wow, that's a great A word. Maybe I'm 4A rated. Advocacy, well, there's an AD, so that's good. Advocacy, alone, arduous, and anxious. Advocacy, advocate. I've been advocating. Yeah, there's a word. There's a word that really sums up the last couple of months. Advocating. And I'm going to be doing that today, advocating. I have no experience in advocation. That is not my vocation of specialty, to advocate. Ugh. It's very hard. It's not that I don't believe in the cause. It's just that I am not that intelligent, folks. I am not that smart. I'm not looking for compliments. I don't want people saying, "Oh, Dave." Oh, I'm really tired of "Oh, Dave." Please. I love when people engage with the show. Linda and my buddy Mark and whoever. But, you got to be pretty smart to advocate. You got to be pretty passionate. You got to be really connected. You really got to know a lot to advocate. And I know nothing. I know very little. And this bureaucracy that I've been dealing with for the last 60 some odd days has really put me in my place. I am a dum-dum. Really. I can't read. I can't comprehend. It's hard for me to have a conversation. I don't last long. It's kind of like having sex. It's like a couple of minutes in and I got to bail. I want to tag somebody. Listen, you come in there. I got to go sit down. And I can't just like in tag team wrestling. You ever watch WWE where the guy gets beat up? He gets really beat up, and he's like, and he's crawling on his knees, and he's going to the corner to tag his partner. I haven't had a partner to tag. I've been on this alone. I've been in this really alone. I might have a couple of friends in the dressing room, and maybe when things get really bad, wow, that really is a great analogy. I'm very proud of myself. I can actually envision this whole analogy. Or is it a metaphor? See, I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted. I'm too dumb. I don't know the difference. No, it's not a metaphor. It's an analogy. Yeah, it's probably, well, who cares? You know what, folks, you've been listening to 100 episodes now. How many times have I been wrong? I'm wrong all the time. So just look it up and figure it out, if I'm saying the wrong thing. But the analogy is I'm that tag team partner. I'm in the middle of the ring, and I'm dragging my body, and I've been beaten for 5 minutes by, the Ultimate Warrior or King Kong Hogan or, Big Daddy Boss Man Rock Dwayne Johnson, whatever. Chief Matai Hayu, with his war dance, Chief Halkawi, Chief Crazy Horse, Chief J Strongbow. There you go. Wrestling references. That'll be a big hit with the podcast listeners. Wrestling references from 1970. So, and I'm crawling to the corner for my tag team partner. But my tag team partner isn't there. And I got to stay in the ring. And I just get beaten up. And the only way I could win this match is by disqualification. Because my energy, it's not like a movie where all of a sudden I hear a voice in the crowd and I perk up. And I go, yeah, I'm going to fight this fight. No. The only way I can win is by default. Is, by disqualification. My opponent has to do something really wrong. And they have to somehow do something wrong, get disqualified, give me the ability to get out of the ring, with the medical staff putting me on a stretcher, bringing me to the dressing room, and letting me recover. And maybe I need to recover for a half an hour. Maybe I need to recover for a week. Today, it's actually been a week. I tagged out, I think last Monday, if that was Christmas Eve. I think I tagged out last Monday. I had been at the Menorah nursing home for, 30 days. I don't even know. All I know is that my mother checked in November 20th. And when she checked in, I checked in. And I'm beaten, folks. And I have learned a very valuable lesson. Too late now. And it's a lesson I've known for a long time, but this time it's really gotten beaten into me. I should have done my homework. Not my homework for nursing homes and rehab center in first grade. And I should have studied for tests. And I should have really, not so much done better in school, but I should have exercised my brain. And that is, I think, ultimately, at the end of it all, the core of the reason why you get an education. The reason why you go to school is because it's like going to the gym for your brain, where you're just exercising your brain. You're just lifting weights for your brain. You don't really have to remember trigonometry or geometry or algebra or the history of the United States or, any of those primary colors, all that stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. But looking back now, the purpose of all that was just to exercise your brain, to exercise your brain's muscles. I don't know if the dumbest person in the world, other than really, medical issues, I don't know if a person like me could have became a person like I want to be, a person who could really read and comprehend and debate and argue and reply intelligently without emotions taking over, without fatigue and emotions, like anger mostly and sadness and taking over. Because that's what happens when I really try my hardest to be smarter. Can't even say smartly. Sound like a moron, like from Brooklyn or from Boston. Yeah, I want to be smarter. Yeah, I'm smart. I'm not dumb. Not like people say. I should be the Godfather, Mickey. I'm your older brother. But I think that's a Godfather reference. I've heard it. I don't even know. But yeah, dumb as a rock. So that's why I'm a truck driver. No offense to truck drivers, but as hard as it is, it ain't that hard. It's not that hard at all. It's hard, but because of its mostly because of the duration of the job. It's a long day, and there's a lot of difficulty in truck driving. Absolutely not an impossible job, and if you're at the higher end of dumb, you can minimize your risk of problems, and not exactly the most difficult profession in the world. And I'm sure a lot of truck drivers would argue with that. It is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. I will say that. It is a dangerous job. There are a lot of truck drivers that die. I don't know if more truck drivers die than policemen or what other job out there is dangerous. But believe it or not, it is one of the top 10. I read that somewhere. And in fact, when I worked at Conway Freight, they actually had it on a sign that it was in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, of if not the United States, in the world. And it was I forget, it was actually a criteria for that. Wow, I really oh, by the way, I want to thank Alex Exum. I did thank Spreaker. I want to thank Rob Greenlee. I know I'm all over the place. I want to thank Rob Greenlee from Spreaker. I want to thank the entire Spreaker staff in Italy, which I don't think is in Italy anymore. I think they're in New York. Wish they would let me come down and visit. It'd be nice to get an invitation. Francesco, I think, is he still the owner? So many things have happened to Spreaker. I've really lost touch with the front management. But it's a great podcast host platform. They are more than just a podcast host platform. I think they are also considered an aggregator. See? This is what happens when I try to be smart. I try to use the word like aggregator. They're like a podcast aggregator. They have a lot of podcasts. You don't need Spreaker to do a podcast. If you want to do a podcast, you should use Spreaker. But if you just want to listen to podcasts, I think they're the best. Better than Stitcher, better than Libsyn, better than every platform, Anchor, whatever. Better than every platform, better than iTunes. Not as prolific. Apparently, iTunes has the corner of the market on prolific. Like, if you're not on iTunes, you don't have a podcast and all that other stuff. That's fine. That's a technical thing. That's a very technical thing that 99.9% of the world does not have to worry about. But if you want to listen to podcasts, you want to find a podcast, you want to listen to a podcast, and you want to engage, especially if you want to engage with a podcast, the Spreaker platform is the most intuitive, easiest to use, smartest looking, feeling, in all ways. They are a very comfortable shoe for me. I will admit there's a bias, and I have no affiliate marketing with them, although I should, because I do have a contract somewhere in my emails from 2 years ago that I never signed and sent back. That's another part of my stupidity. that I have this contract sitting in my emails with Spreaker to become an affiliate marketer, and I just never pursued it because that would mean success to me, and I'm afraid of success. That's one of the things I've heard 1,000 times. I'm afraid of success. So is that true? Yeah, probably, because then there's more responsibility, and with more responsibility comes more responsibility. Do I want that? Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes I think I don't. Sometimes I don't know what I think. I'm too exhausted to know. I'm exhausted and I'm dumb. I'm just beaten and I'm dumb. Did I do the wrestling reference justice? Yeah, so I did that. I thanked Rob Greenlee. I thanked Spreaker. And I want to thank Alex Exum for doing the intro. That's this guy right here.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb.
There you go. That's Alex Exum, who let me substitute for him on his live talk show on the Fringe.fm. I think they just call it the Fringe FM. KTLK, which is a radio station, I think based out of, I don't even know. Am I going to say California? No, I don't think it is. I don't know where it's based out of. It's called KTLK. Sounds like California, but it might not be. It's on the internet, the Fringe FM. So I substituted for two 2-hour shows live for Alex Exum on his live talk show. I did a horrible job. No, I don't want anybody writing, Dave, you didn't do so bad. You did a good... Nah, I didn't do a good job. I know what good radio is, and that wasn't good radio. I wasn't prepared, and, I don't have... I was exhausted. I had agreed to do it because Alex was in a spot. He needed to go on vacation. He didn't want to run a rerun. And I knew I could hold down 2 hours pretty much without breaking the internet, which, by the way, was my number one concern. I didn't want to break the internet. But I just don't have the energy to sit there and prepare. Just like this show right now, which is why I'm all across the board today. I just didn't have time. I don't have time to prepare. I don't have the mental stability and the wherewithal. I have prepared some shows, and I guess if I there's a discipline to that. Discipline. What I don't have, what I lack, discipline. So, I have made it to 100 episodes. So there's no pod fade here, and I will continue to do podcasts. But I definitely could use some more discipline, not just in podcasting, in my organization skills, in my spiritual skills, because I don't meditate like I should, in my medical and physical, because I don't exercise on a regular basis, in my sleep. I don't sleep regularly. I don't often try to sleep regularly. I go home, I watch too much TV. There's my discipline. I have discipline in my lack of discipline. I'm always so contrary. I think that's my most consistent part of me, being contrary. Contrarical? Contrary? Whatever. The opposite? No. I don't know if I want to say that. But, that's my greatest discipline, is to be undisciplined and just able to sit there and watch TV. I could just watch TV series after TV series. And right now I'm locked into the stupid Daredevil TV show on Netflix. I finished all the Luke Cage Power Man shows. Dumb. I watched almost all the Iron Fists show. Dumb. Jennifer Jones. That was dumb too, but that was actually better. It was actually interesting. The Jennifer Jones character was interesting. Her supporting characters were interesting. There was this sadness, which I think I really enjoyed. Luke Cage's characters weren't sad. It was dark, and not dark like death dark, like just dreary, boring, a little boring, mostly boring. Iron Fist was just stupid, just really not good. Which is amazing to me because all these people are professionals putting together a TV show for Marvel, and I'm not a superhero guy at all. I'm not anymore. Comic books as a kid, not TVs and movies as an adult. I just don't buy into it. It's just very hard for me to let go and say, yeah, man, I'm into this. But the Jennifer Jones show, she was sad, and her childhood was messed up. And I think that's why I related to her. I really dug it. And as much as she tried to do good, it was always something in the, it's kind of like Breaking Bad, which I thought was a great show. Now I'm doing TV reviews of shows that have been off the air for 10 years. Breaking Bad, no matter, what's his name, William, whatever his name was, no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't right the ship. It was always like another obstacle. No matter what he did, he had to lie to somebody to make it right. But he never made it right. He had to hurt somebody to make it right. He had to deceive somebody. But no matter how much he tried, he couldn't make it right. And I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but it doesn't really end right at all. Except for one person, I guess, maybe more. Maybe he was the only one that didn't make out at the end. So, Jennifer Jones, yeah, better. So anyway, I'm not here to do TV review. Oh yeah, then there's the Defenders, I think, where they're all together. All these loser TV shows are together. Daredevil and Jennifer Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I don't know. I could care less. But I watch it, even though I could care less, just because I need to complete it. That's like OCD. Like once I get started, I got to finish it. Not all the time. Sometimes I go, nah, you know what? This is really that bad. I can't finish it. There's other shows, not so much Netflix shows. No, Longmire, I didn't finish. It was a good show. And then they switched from A&E to Netflix or somebody, and it got cartoonish. It got a little silly. I stopped. I never went back. It's there. I guess it's always there for me when I want it, right? Longmire, because it's on Netflix, but who cares? All right. Nobody. You want to hear me do TV reviews? No way. That's stupid. You don't need me to review a TV show. So here I am, advocating, anxious, alone, continuing my arduous journey down the New York State Thruway. By the way, not wearing a seatbelt. Yeah, hoo-hoo, hee-hee, ha-ha. Passing the Modena service area in a mile, which is the 67-mile marker, southbound. Yeah, not wearing a seatbelt. Not since I left my house. Yeah, ooh, ah. Yeah, sometimes I do that. Ooh, no seatbelt. Oh my God, that's dangerous, Dave. That's bad. That's you're a professional driver. You shouldn't be talking about this on your podcast. Oh, no seatbelt. Oh, what are they gonna? They're gonna fine you. You're on record now saying first of all, this is theater of the mind. So screw you. All right. Maybe I am wearing a seatbelt. Maybe I'm not. How do you know? Just because I said it on a digital broadcast, that doesn't make it true. But let's just say I'm not wearing my seatbelt. Let me tell you something. If I got into an accident right now, 2 tractor trailers loaded with flatbeds, loaded with what is that? Some sort of concrete, like for the road. It's patches of the road. They just passed me. They just blew my doors off. I'm doing 62 miles an hour. They're doing 70 as I pass the Modena service area. You know what? If they wrecked me, if I wrecked them or whatever, and I crashed, I hit the wall, and I flew out the window, and I died, you know what? Just like the airlines, every time a plane goes down, and whether it disappears over the ocean or whether it crashes into whatever, what is the first thing you always hear, right? Still, even though we just lost 285 people, airline travel is still the safest travel in the world. And every time, I'm 55 years old, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that announcement. I wish I had the wherewithal, and I say this 100 times, I say this over and over and again. I don't say it 100 times. I say it over and over again. I wish I had a recording of this. I wish I had logged this down. I wish I had paid attention to this. But every time there's an accident of an airplane, that's the first thing you hear. Oh, airline travel still remains the safest mode of transportation. That's based on numbers. Well, yeah, of course it's based on numbers. It's a numbers game. In other words, if you took every flight, I don't know if they go back to the original Orville brothers. Are those the guys? Right? Didn't they own a bicycle shop and then they built a plane? No, the Wright brothers. Orville they're not the Orville brothers, they're the Wright brothers. What do I know? That little piece of memory, come back to me in about a month from now. I won't even remember that. That's how bad my memory is now as I fade away into obscurity. What's the other word? The people, dementia. Yeah, as I fade into dementia and obscurity. Well, actually, that's 2 different things, but whatever. So, I don't know when they started tracking this information, but you hear this all the time. Oh, it's the safest mode of travel. Yeah, that's because of all the miles that are put in. It's like, how many miles do you go before somebody dies? Oh yeah, it's 1,000,000 miles. Every 1,000,000 miles, a person dies. That sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, here, in my Honda Fit right now, I'm at 191,000 miles. 191,660 miles. So I got another 800,000 miles to go, according to airline travel. You know, I'm just making up 1,000,000 miles. I don't know how many miles it is, but you always hear that airline travel is the safest travel. Airplane travel, whatever they call it, is the safest mode of travel. I'm just making up 1,000,000 miles. And the Kia has 260 some odd thousand miles. For those of you new to the show, I used to be in the Kia. The intro with Alex Exum still says I'm in the Kia, but I switched cars with my wife. It's a long story. It's not really that long, and it's not even that interesting, but we switched cars. So she's got the Kia, and she's at 260 some odd thousand miles, and I'm in the Honda Fit for Dave's Fit Life, which is my YouTube channel, at 191,660 miles. And what am I getting for gas mileage? Let's see. According to this, right now I'm getting 35.4 miles to the gallon, according to my digital display. But, so I'm trying to, advocate for driving without a seatbelt. I think that's what I was trying to do. Is that if I died, yeah, I'd be a fatality, right? And they was, he should have wore a seatbelt. He would have been safer. But you know what? I bet you if we calculated every mile that every car, every truck, every taxi, motorcycle, I guess, right? By the way, motorcycles, they don't wear seatbelts. They wear helmets. If you gave me a choice of being in your car, wearing a helmet or a seatbelt, you know what? I might take helmet. I mean, sometimes I wear a ball cap. Sometimes, in the summer, sometimes I wear a ball cap. I don't really care. Sometimes I wear a wool cap in the wintertime, right? Sometimes you forget to take it off. Some people, remember back in the day, our grandparents, if you're my age, great-grandparents, if you're younger than me, I guess, they wore hats. They wore these decorative hats or whatever, men and women. Women wore gloves, too, over their hands. Well, yeah, where else would you put a glove, dum-dum? But, so I might choose to wear a helmet. Listen, Dave, you have a choice. You can either wear a helmet or a seatbelt. I think I might want to wear a helmet. I'd like to have that choice. That's going to protect me too. How come I'm not given a choice? If I fly out this window and I have a helmet on, just like if I had an accident with a motorcycle, the helmet would protect me. Well, Dave, that's not enough. You also have to wear protective clothing. Wait a minute. I have to wear like a racing suit and a helmet, like in NASCAR, while I drive? Yeah, put me down for that. Rather than a seatbelt? No, you still have to wear a 6-point harness. No. I'm not wearing a NASCAR harness. I'm not traveling at high rates of speed. Let me wear a racing suit, a really cool, fireproof. Yeah, why aren't they concerned about me being on fire? How come my clothes don't have to be fire retardant while I drive? Dave, do you really want government in your driving? No, I don't want government in my driving, but I'm just trying to create some choices here rather than wear a seatbelt. Dave, you really hate seatbelts? I hate seatbelts. I hate them. They are restrictive. I don't like the way they come across my chest. I never liked when they came across my belly, even before I was obese. Yeah, I know 1 million people, I bet. Not personally. I don't know anybody personally anymore, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe my wife. After that, I don't know anybody personally. But my guess is I could probably find 1 million people that hate wearing seatbelts. Not just because of the law, because they hate, the law, the fact that it's law. It's uncomfortable. So yeah, let me wear a helmet, and probably not a big bulky helmet, like a modified helmet for commuter driving. Yeah, just like in NASCAR, where the pit crews, they started mandating that the pit crews had to wear helmets. And at first they were resistant to it. But after a while they put a lot of effort into it. And now they have these modified helmets that different from the race car drivers. So put me down for that. Yeah, can I advocate for that? No, I'm a dummy. I'm not going to advocate for that. Who's going to, that's a lot of work. But, yeah, give me the choice. I'd rather wear a nice modified driving helmet, a commuter helmet. By the way, back in the day when they first made cars and there were no roofs, holy cow. That must mean we're at the end of the show. Because now I'm not even talking really at all. 35 minutes in. Remember that once upon a time I used to get nervous at 30 minutes? Now I'm 35 minutes. I could care less. Well, it's the 100th episode. You're getting a bonus 15 minutes, folks. I'm going right to the end. I might not even be able to say goodbye. I might just, this thing might just cut off on me, which it's done before. So, yeah, I'd like to have a modified helmet and a racing suit. Yeah, I advocate for that. I vote for that. There you go. Flame retardant with pockets and a cup holder. What's wrong with that? Instead of a seatbelt? Right? Okay. So there you go. Rob Greenlee, Spreaker, Alex Exum, Linda, Jason Smith from Deplorable Radio. Thank you for listening to my show. Mark, my buddy Mark, truck driver, used to live up in New York. Now he's down there in Mobile, Alabama. Pastor Mark has helped me pray a couple of times, not in a while. We haven't talked in a while, but he's down in Alabama. He's a good friend of mine. I appreciate him as much as I could possibly muster up appreciation for a friend. I have other friends that some don't want to be mentioned on the radio or at all, so if he's listening, I appreciate you being my friend, even though you don't want me to mention your name. And the other people who have said to me nice things along the way, whether you're being honest or just blowing up my skirt, which I don't wear anymore, and because I got caught. No, it's not true. So even if it was true, theater of the mind. So now I've cast a little doubt in everybody's minds. Is he? What is he? What was that? Did he say skirt? No, I'm just kidding. So thank you for listening to the show. For all my friends, in quotations, my 1,000. I was on the internet the other day. I forgot to check, because one of the reasons why I hesitated doing episode 100, because I wanted to do a special show. I really wanted to do a special series called Dave Saves the World. Well, I don't have time for it. I could barely advocate for an 81-year-old deaf woman. How am I going to save the world? I'll have to figure out how to do that another time. I have my ideas, but I don't know if I could put it. I don't know if I could make it come to fruition. Fruition. That is the word of the day. No, it's not. But anyway, fruition. I've been hesitating doing episode 100. I've been hesitating doing every episode since I considered the specialness of episode 100. And I've been stalling. And here it is. I'm just putting it out there. And it's not at all what I wanted to do. But other than doing Dave Saves the World, one of the things I wanted to do was talk about my friends, in quotations, my friends. So let's just say, for instance, I have 1,000 friends. I don't know if I have 1,000 friends on Facebook. Fakebook. Maybe I have 500 friends. Maybe I have 700 friends. Who knows? But from what I see from Fakebook, everybody who's on Fakebook seems to have 500 friends. So maybe you have less. Maybe you're one of those people, I only have 33. I only have 120. Well, it doesn't matter. There's no way that people have in their lives probably more than 3 real friends, 5 real friends. I mean, really, what is the maximum number that you can have real friends? Hang out with them, friends. Take them to the airport, friends. Help them move, friends. Be on the phone for hours, friends. Really, what is the largest amount of friends a person could really have? I used to think back in the day as a child that I had 10 really good friends. Maybe 5 or 6 from Canarsie, Brooklyn. Now I have none of them. None of those guys. But if I have 500 Fakebook friends, I'm going low. If I have, I'm pretty sure I have more than that. I used to have more than that, and then I purged. I went through this huge purge where I got rid of all this fat. And then I built it all up again because I went to Coda and I got into podcasting and whatever. So let's just say I have 500 friends. If my 500 friends all have 500 friends, 5,000, that comes out to 25,000 people, doesn't it? 500 times 500 is 5,000, 25, yeah, right? 25,000. Sounds about right. So, the fact that I only have 72 at this time, no, I think I'm up to 74 YouTube followers on my YouTube channel, and I know I don't get 500 listens on an episode, or I don't get 2 shares. I mean, the numbers are so appalling in comparison to the potential. That is a big beef I have. All right? So, 41 minutes almost. All right. So, I wanted to do a whole episode on that. But you know what? Now that I'm at the end of episode 100, I'm over it. I'm not over the fact that my friends have failed me. Not you guys. The other ones. The ones that aren't listening. And I could list them all by name, but, what is that going to accomplish? They know who they are, but they're not listening. So what does anybody care? Why do I let it bother me? They're not really my friends. If you look at the definition, the Merriam-Webster definition of friends, I guess they still are, they're still my friends, because once you've made a friend, according to the dictionary, they're friends forever. I guess until they become your enemy. I never thought about that. So they're not my enemy. They're just not my friends. But you can't not be friends, according to the dictionary definition, until you become enemies. So they're forever your friend. Once you've made a friend, they're a friend for life, according to the definition. It's a person that you like or likes you, and you have something in common. I forget now the definition. But I remember when I read it, I was kind of disappointed, because there is no criteria for friendship. You just have to meet and like each other. Look it up. I wish I had it. I'm not prepared. To the whole thing about dumbing it down with Dave, I don't prepare. I don't really do notes. I just kind of wing it. And I'm kind of satisfied with the way the show is ending. I thanked a lot of people at the beginning. I thanked people in the middle. I gave you some of my angst. I gave you some of my advocacy, my aloneness, my arduousness, my journey here. Not just driving a car on the throughway, but this whole thing with helping my mother recover from a stroke all alone, with my father, who is often not a help. He's a drag, because he thinks I'm there for him too, which is another, like, Jesus. Like, I'm there for her. But since I'm there, I might as well be there for him too, right? That's how he sees it. I helped him do this. I helped him do that. It's exhausting. And this whole time, I was on paid leave, but it's like 80%. It's like less than 80%. It's not really a good amount of pay. But thank God my mortgage is paid. If I didn't, 5 years ago, this would have been impossible. All right, the Spreaker app is warning me now. It's time to say goodbye. All right, folks. So I'm actually officially off leave a couple of days ago. So today is December 31st. I'm in the car. I'm going to try to upload this as soon as I'm going to listen to it, make sure it's okay, and then I'm going to upload it. Thank you, everybody. For those of you who have made it to episode 100, for those of you who have jumped on at episode 100 or whenever, please feel free, between Dumbing It Down with Dave and Dave's Fit Life, to share this podcast with people, to engage me. But here in the Spreaker comment section, on Facebook, on Twitter, at Dumb with Dave, or at Dave Canyon with a K, Dumbing It Down with Dave with a B. Thank you for listening. I hope it's entertaining. I don't know. And sorry for all the advocacy and aloneness and arduousness and anxiety, or angst. But that's it. That's the core of my existence. I am constantly in flux, constantly reinventing myself, constantly in search of pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. It's never ending. It's constantly disappointing and never ending. That's life. And I handle it the way I handle it. That's me. That's life. Episode 100 in the books. All right? Goodbye. Good day. Good night. Good luck. Good riddance. Good rats. And great skills. Was that 8? It's going to have to be. Should I do it again? I got 20 seconds. Goodbye. Good day. Good night. Good luck. Good riddance. Godspeed. Good rats and great skills. Take care, folks. Bye. Oh, yeah, episode 101? I have no idea. Maybe tomorrow, today on the way home. I don't know if I'm going home. We'll see. Happy New Year, everybody, 2019. Whee! Or, hey, Happy New Year, everybody, 2020. Whee! Hey, Happy New Year, everybody, 2021. Whee!